manager at Canva, and she is going to talk to us about visual storytelling and share her experience. So give a round of applause for Lauren.
Hey everyone, I'm Lauren Freund. I'm so excited to be here today at Social Media Day 2023. As mentioned, I'm from Canva. This is my first time in Philadelphia and also my first time at Social Media Day. So I'm super excited to kick this off. I'm going to be chatting with you guys today about mastering social media strategy and the power of visual communication. So I wanted to start off by sharing with you today what today's agenda is going to look like. I want to share a little bit about me, my background, why I'm so passionate about this, how I got here. I want to share Social Media Strategy 101. I feel like that's a good way to start today of Social Media Days, starting with the foundations. And then I want to talk about the importance of visual communication, why it's so important not just externally to communicate with your audience and your followers, but also internally when you're working with your team and you're creating that awesome content. Lastly, I really appreciate you guys coming here today and listening to my session, so I want to give you some actionable takeaways that you can go and compare with your social strategy, or maybe you're starting a social strategy. So yeah. I will take it away now with a little bit about me. So who am I? I am a social media manager at Canva. Who here knows Canva, uses Canva? Oh my God, a lot of hands. I love that. Love the Canva love. For those of you who don't know, Canva is an online visual communications platform designed to empower the world to design. It is an easy and simple way to make beautiful designs, everything from resumes to presentations, infographics, videos, social media posts, you name it, you can make it on Canva. Canva supports the entire visual communication process end to end. What does that mean? That means from the brainstorming and planning phase, all the way to the creation and collaboration phase with your team, all the way to the end phase, which is execution and publishing the content directly onto a social media platform, or if you're creating print products, you can get it shipped directly to you. So Canva is an amazing tool. I've been a fan for them for quite some time now, so it's really surreal to be able to work for them and represent them up here today. I'm a social media manager there, which means all the campaigns we go out with that support our brand, any partnerships we're a part of, seasonal events, or reactive content like trends. My team and I get to handle that and connect with our audience through social. Before that, I was on the growth innovation team at Shutterfly. What that means is I sat within marketing. I went around and talked to all the different team heads under marketing and asked them what obstacles they were running into, anything that they wanted to test but didn't have time to because day-to-day kind of gets in the way. And then I got to run tests on that through social. So it really led to my desire to constantly test and learn and innovate. Before that, I was at Taco Bell. I was on the social media team there. I helped develop Taco Bell's social media strategy. I worked on their influencer strategy, and I also developed their first social media analytics process. Across the board, I've had 10 years experience in social, digital, and PR. And if you couldn't tell by now, I love to chat. So I have time for questions at the end. I would love to chat everything, Canva, social, my experience, you name it. And I hope to chat one-on-one with you guys at the end of the session during the networking time. So with that being said, let's get into Social Media Strategy 101. Let's start with the basics. Why is having a social media strategy so important? Whether you are working on a social media strategy now and you're thinking, you know, things change all the time, the trends change, the algorithm changes, why even have a strategy? Or if you're new to social and you're like, why not just post it and see what happens? I'm here to tell you having a social media strategy is so very important. And I want to point out 3 key reasons why and some of my favorite brands that exemplify these reasons. So first, it's so important to show your brand reputation. That's why having a social media strategy is so important. I have Nike up here because I think they do an amazing job of showing this. You know exactly what Nike's about when you go to their page. Social media is oftentimes your first impression with a brand, and you should be able to easily go on a brand's page and see what they're about, what they stand for. So not only does Nike do that in a very visual way through their stories and through their partnerships with athletes, but they also partner with people who have similar morals and foundations and goals. A second reason why social media strategy is so important is it allows you to build relationships. An example here I have is Taco Bell. I know you may be thinking, Lauren, you worked for Taco Bell, you're totally biased. Well, it's less of a bias and more of a peek behind the curtain. It allows you to build relationships through a social media strategy, and what Taco Bell does is their entire foundation of their social media strategy is engaging with their customers. Their fans have influenced major things like Super Bowl commercials to major activations like the Bell Hotel, and even has influenced their entire Instagram strategy, which is showing all of the amazing user-generated content. I can't tell you how many different Taco Bell tattoos I've seen in my life, way too many. Going on to number 3, why social media strategy is so important is it's where the content lives. It's so important to understand which social channels should be what kind of content. And it's also one of the few mediums of marketing where you can easily go there and see everything that the company has been about and all the content. Sure, you might be able to search on Google every commercial Nike's ever had or every billboard Taco Bell has ever put up, but social media has everything in one spot, which is so important. I have an example here from the Washington Post. If you guys haven't checked out their TikTok, it's amazing. They do a really great job of sharing all of their content and storytelling through TikTok trends or TikTok sounds, even things that are sometimes sensitive or polarizing, as news can sometimes be. They do an amazing job to visually storytell what that is. So, what is it to build a strong social media strategy? I like to start off with 2 things, which is 1, what the brand wants to accomplish, and 2, what the people want to see. Another way to say this, which is a mantra I take through my entire career, is why share, why care? Why are you sharing the content you're sharing? And then why should your audience care about it? If you can find that synergy between those 2 things, that's where you'll have a really strong social media post and an overall strong social media strategy. So I have a simple 4-step plan here when creating a strong social media strategy. 1, as we just talked about, why share, why care. This is so important to find out what your goals and objectives are for your company, and then your target audience, so you make sure that you're finding people who are going to care about it and how they care, what their visual communication language is, and how they best take in that content. After that, choosing the right platforms are so important. You have to use the data that you have to determine what those right platforms are. And if you're maybe new to the social space, or maybe the account you're working on is a little new, use your best judgment to find out where your audience is and maybe what social platforms would be best to go on there. You can always adjust this later as you learn. Which brings me to the 3rd one, which is analyzing, reporting, and testing. It is so, so important to constantly be analyzing your posts and how they're performing. You want to be able to report on this and then constantly test once you have learning. So maybe one social platform is performing really, really well for you and the other one's falling a bit behind. You want to understand, maybe I'm not connecting on a copy level or on a visual level, or maybe my audience just doesn't live there. But as long as you're constantly analyzing and testing, you're always going to learn important things that'll help you innovate your strategy. And then lastly, implement an engagement strategy. Your engagement strategy is a huge part of your social media strategy because it's how you're going to connect with people. Social media is a 2-way street, which is why, and I know I'm biased, I think it's one of the most important marketing mediums, because other mediums, it's really just talking at people, and social media, you can talk back and forth, which is great about learning what people think about your company or product, what people want to see about it, etc. So this should be in your tone of voice, and it's crucial for crossing that line from a company that's just on social to a brand that people really want to follow, they want to keep up with, and they want to interact with. So if you follow this 4-step plan, this is a really good way to build a strong social media strategy. So now that we have our foundations, we know the 101, we know how to build a strong social media strategy, how do we stay ahead of the curve? It's so difficult in today's climate to do that, but I have a few suggestions. One is activate UGC and influencer marketing. UGC is user-generated content. If people are already talking about your brand, if they're already talking about your product, then you want to kind of heighten that. You want to put it on your channels, you want to interact with them, you really want to feed that UGC that's organically coming up. And then obviously budget permitting, if you have budget for influencer marketing, it's an amazing medium to test out to really amplify your social. You can touch audiences that maybe you wouldn't be able to reach before. Second, keep up with your audience. Understand what they're saying about your brand, how they're interacting. I often say that there's sometimes a silent audience that's still really important that people overlook. This is like saves and shares. I often sometimes will see on TikTok there'll be a video and only like 10 comments, but then I'll look at the bookmarks or the shares and there'll be like tens of thousands. Because people don't really want to comment sometimes, but they're like, I'm going to save that for later. I'm going to share that in a private message to my friend. The third one is explore adjacent audiences. So for an example, when I was at Taco Bell, we had what we called adjacent audiences. We found out that a big chunk of Taco Bell fans were also interested in other things. One surprising thing was a big chunk of Taco Bell audience was also interested in makeup, makeup artists. So we took that insight and then we started partnerships with makeup artists or drag queens or people who we thought really exemplified that, and it would be a seamless partnership. The fourth one is know when and how to hop on trends. I can't stress this enough. No brand wants to be like Regina George's mom in Mean Girls, convincing everyone that they're the cool mom. You definitely want to know when to hop in on trends and when to maybe step back. A good way to test this or kind of feel this out is if you see a trend happening and you automatically know, like, oh my gosh, this would be perfect for us. We could seamlessly integrate our product or our service into this. It would work. Great. If you're having trouble maybe thinking of the ways that you're going to make this trend work for you, or when you're brainstorming, it's kind of moving away from the trend and the point of it, drop it, leave it, walk away. Don't use it. People will remember the trends that you try to be a part of and it doesn't work versus the ones that you just don't touch. So it's really important to know when and where to hop onto the trends. Fifth one here is explore boosting and paid ads. Again, budget pending. But if you do have extra budget to kind of boost those successful organic social posts, that could be really important. And then last one, I know I've said this multiple times throughout this, but test and innovate. It's really hard sometimes because you're busy with the day-to-day and all of the posts that you're continually churning out with your team or brainstorming, but I highly recommend in your social strategy to carve out time for testing and think of ways that you can maybe test on different platforms, test a different medium. Maybe you're mostly doing images and you want to try stories or lives or videos. It's really important to continually test because even if it doesn't work out numbers-wise, you're always going to learn something and at least you tried it out. So now that we went over social media strategy, building it, and staying ahead of the curve, I want to talk about the importance of visual communication. So first off, what is visual communication? It's the process of using visual elements to convey ideas, information, and data. This can be anything from photos, videos, graphs, typography, you name it. There are so many different ways that you can use visuals to help convey your idea. Anything that's going to help clarify what you're trying to say is super important. So visual communication is all around us. There's a bunch of different examples. We've got GIFs, we've got videos, posters, advertisements, graphs, even emojis are considered visual communication. There's all different ways to make sure that you're highlighting what you're trying to say and you're visually connecting with people at their level. So for example, on TikTok, there's ways to visually communicate through videos and trends, and maybe on Twitter, memes are really big for you guys. So it really just depends, and finding where that visual communication is best placed is super important. So 50% of people have a visual learning style. This goes for your audience or your fans or your followers who are seeing your content about your product and service, But it also goes for your internal team. So that means the team that you work with, maybe you're a one-man show and it's just you, but if you're working with a team or working with other teams in your company, you want to make sure that you're visually communicating. This is so important because if you're trying to maybe sell in an idea or get a pitch through or get more budget, we always want more money to support our social, it's really important to be able to visually communicate through the different resources that we have. Canva has some amazing ones. So again, marketing and advertising, we know how to visually communicate different ways. Internal team communication, I wanted to share a few ways that Canva can help with internal team communication. So in this little video, you can see a few of our different visual work suite resources. The first one is docs. As you can see, we have ChatGPT-like AI features to help you write these docs. You can also implement images, graphs, photos. It just makes it a lot more visually communicative and easy to understand. The next one we have is whiteboards. This is super important in that phase I was talking about of visual communication when you're planning and you're collaborating. You can easily put all your ideas here, plus one or like other people's ideas, and it gives a more visual way to brainstorm. Third one is presentations. Obviously, Canva's known a lot for their presentations. We have beautiful options. Very cool AI feature we recently have is you can type in what kind of presentation you want to create, like a social media one, and it'll create that for you. This one, social, we're all very familiar with it here if you guys use Canva. You can create every type of social media post for every channel, and you can actually publish straight from the Canva site. We've got video. We have a whole video editor in Canva. So this is kind of that middle section of when you're actually creating and collaborating with your team. You can comment on different sections, choose to edit this, edit that, and it's a really easy way to create some more advanced social media assets. Next one here is print. More traditional, but Canva also has a lot of print options. T-shirts, caps, you name it. You can put your logo on it. You can make your own. The easy thing here with publishing is you can get it sent directly to you. And then last one we have here is websites. I don't know about you guys, but I cannot do SQL, I cannot code, I cannot do any of that. So Canva has some really amazing website templates that you can make your own, and then you can publish it straight from the site. All of these visual work suite tools are so important when you're working with your team and you're collaborating. Again, that whole visual communications process from start to finish, of planning and brainstorming to creating, collaborating, to finally publishing. And as someone who always has too many tabs open on her computer, it's really nice to have everything in one spot. So we're on to the key takeaways here. I want to make sure you guys have things that you can go away with and check against your own social strategy or maybe implement. First one here, your social media accounts are the visual representation of your brand. Are they accurate? If you look at your page, are they easily showing what your brand is about and what you guys want to show to the world? Second one, how are you effectively communicating and building a relationship with your audience through strong visuals? What kind of visual communication do you need to put out there for your audience or intended audience to really get and want to be more a part of your social channel, be more a part of your brand? 3, how are you optimizing your team's efforts through visual communication? How are you working best with your team to be able to brainstorm ideas, think of new ideas, and get pitches and maybe different things sold in by visually communicating things through whiteboards or graphs or whatever it may be? 4, are you building testing into your strategy? Are you carving out that necessary time needed to make sure that you're testing different things and you're constantly innovating based on learnings that maybe you heard through the grapevine or that you're seeing through your own social channels? 5th, can't read, how are you managing your goals? It's so important to be able to build in different goals. For example, at Canva, we have our benchmark numbers, which are our good numbers. They're standard to how something performs, let's say Instagram impressions, standard numbers. And then we have a more exciting category called our crazy big goals, which is exactly how it sounds. It's a crazy big number that maybe we've hit once in our lifetime, and we know that if we hit that again, we have to analyze the heck out of that that post, because it obviously did something right in the copy, in the creative, whatever it may be. And we want to implement that and innovate that into our future posts. So it's really important to be managing your goals and knowing what your baseline is, and also what those crazy big goals are that you want to achieve. Lastly, coming full circle, why share, why care? Why are you sharing the content that you're putting out there? How is it benefiting your brand? And then how do we tie that into a way that people are going to care about? Most obviously, your audience. How do we tie it into a way that your audience is really going to care about? That's really going to make for a strong social media strategy and also strong social media posts. All right, we've got to the end. Thank you so much for listening. I wanted to open the floor. We got 10 minutes left for any questions you guys may have about social media or Canva, my journey, anything in between. So, yeah, thank you guys.